Hey, Slider Crusaders, if you enjoy these videos, please share it so we can continue to spread the word. A lot of experts say that we need shorter videos, maximum 2 minutes, because people are so spacey and dumb, they can't stay focused on an entire video longer than 2 minutes. I think more of you than the experts. I want to talk about the clearest explanation that I've ever heard of what it means to be an adult. Why is this important? Because if we don't understand it, it won't happen. What won't happen? We won't be adults. We won't act like adults. And our society will be awful. Our founding fathers knew that people were awful and broken and corrupt and evil. They knew this, which is why they put such an emphasis on virtue and moral development. It was imperative that people were intentional about becoming virtuous. Otherwise, left to our own devices, we'd be terrible. Today, there's this belief that man is good. We don't need to work on virtue. We don't need to define virtue. In fact, virtue either doesn't exist or it's a bad thing. I disagree with the progressive view on virtue and proper living. That's why I'm making this video. So this is from a great writer, Mark Manson. Really enjoying his stuff. We're, of course, going to link to his website here. He talks about the 3 levels. We have child, adolescent, and then adult at the top. We want to get to the adult. Most people are in between child and adolescent. I tend to hang out on the adolescent, but we all want to get to adult. So we'll start with kid. When you are a child, you're learning about the world. It's all about finding pleasure and avoiding pain. All right, so a kid's brain constantly collecting information on what feels good and what feels bad. This is why when Jack, who's 16 months old, when he was first starting to jump around and play on the couch and the bed, he'd fall backwards without looking. And one time he got too close to the edge, and I needed to give him a controlled fall to the floor to teach him. I had him, don't worry, he didn't get hurt, but he got a little flustered by it. He needed to learn, don't do that anymore. Right? He was too little to hear what I was really saying. He needed to feel it because he knew, ooh, if I'm too close to the edge here, this doesn't feel good. I'm not going to do that anymore. It's fun when I do it over here. I'm going to do it over here instead. Kids need to feel what feels good and feels bad. Then we get to the adolescent phase. Things become a little more transactional. Right? Adolescents start to learn that there are consequences. Hopefully they learn there are consequences. This is why parents who don't institute consequences are crippling their kids. But they'll say, listen, I want this candy bar. I want it now. But if I steal it, parents are going to be mad. And that's not good. So I'm not going to steal the candy bar. So this is higher level thinking than the child, right? The child's all about now. Right? The immediate pleasure of the moment drives their actions. I want candy bar, done. The adolescent is beginning to form principles that stealing is wrong, right? But the principles are still acted out based on seeking pleasure or avoiding pain. There's still a lot of selfishness to it, right? So my teacher will punish me if I skip class, so I won't. This is good, it's growth, but it's not an end. There's still a major problem in this approach to life when you see everything as a trade-off, right? I'll do what my boss says so I can get money. I'll call my mother so I don't get yelled at. I'll do my homework so I don't screw up my future. I'll lie and pretend to be nice so that I don't have to deal with a conflict, right? In these situations, nothing's done for its own sake. Everything's a calculated trade-off, usually made out of fear of the negative consequences. So what makes an adult? This is what Manson says. He says, the adult does what is right for the simple reason that it is right. End of discussion. So let's go back. With a child, let's say at the checkout aisle, I want that candy bar now. So they take it. That's it. I just want it now, boom, that's it. That's the child. An adolescent says, I want this candy bar now, but if I steal it, mom and dad are going to be mad, and that pain from their discipline is worse than the pleasure from the candy bar, so I'm not going to steal it. An adult says, stealing is wrong, period. End of discussion, right? An adult lives in the world of principles, full stop. Whether it brings pleasure or pain, doesn't matter. It's all entirely and solely about principles, right and wrong, end of story. So an adolescent will say they value honesty, but they'll go on and they'll tell white lies or exaggerate the truth if it benefits him. So he doesn't really value honesty, only when and if it helps him seek pleasure or avoid pain. An adolescent will tell a girl he loves her, but really it's just to get pleasure in the end, selfish pleasure, usually sex. Adolescents will say they're generous and that they love to give gifts, but there's always an expectation of getting something in return. So the person's generous, but only when it makes them feel pleasure. Those are adolescents. An adult is honest, loves, and is generous for its own sake. An adult will do these things, be honest, love, and be generous all the time, expecting nothing in return ever. An adult does these things even if it brings pain, even if it's harder. Doesn't matter, because it's the right thing to do. End of story. So where are we as a society today? I think a lot of people are children. Right? Do what feels good now. Do what feels good now, all the time, every time, without question, and without any thought to anyone else, including myself and my future. If it feels good, I do it. As a child, it doesn't end well. Most people, I think, are adolescents. I do the right thing if it benefits me. This is where I am most of the time. Right? I'll call someone back if I think it benefits me. I'll help someone out if I think I can get something in return. I'll donate money if I think in the end it can benefit me. I'll meet with someone if, right? I have to really work on getting out of this selfish, transactional way of seeing people. It's a really bad place to be. I want to be an adult, and there's very few adults. People who do the right thing for its own sake. Now, I want to say if you're in a moral conundrum, good. It means you're thinking about what the right thing to do is. That's great. You're no longer a child. When you start debating the pros and cons of an action, though, based on how it benefits or hurts you, you're being an adolescent. Stop doing that. Be an adult. Do the right thing. That's it. End of debate. You know what the right thing to do is. Most of the debate going on in your head is just you trying to rationalize or justify doing the wrong thing. Don't do that. Do the right thing. You can do it. I want to share a quote from Thomas Jefferson. He said, "Give up money, give up fame, give up science, give the earth itself and all of its contents, rather than do an immoral act. And never suppose, never, that in any possible situation or under any circumstance is it best for you to do a dishonorable thing, however slightly so it may appear to you. Encourage all your virtuous dispositions and exercise them whenever an opportunity arises, being assured that they will gain strength by exercise as a limb of the body does." So just like working out your biceps, just got to work it out. Work out your honesty, work out your generosity, work out your love, work out your virtues so that they become habitual. That's Thomas Jefferson. It's a poetic way of saying, do the right thing for its own sake, no matter